Glad to have you here today. And if you want to follow along, we will be in the 22nd proverb again today, starting in the third verse. And we're going to continue a common theme, one we've talked about a number of times. Again, Solomon just continues to lay out the truth for his son, that actions have consequences. You're going to choose your path, and then you're going to deal with the results and the consequences of those choices. And the phrase we talk about, reaping what you sow. Whatever you choose, know that there will be consequences to those choices. And so in verse 3, he tells him, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. The wise man foreseeth the evil. A wise man looks ahead. He sees what could happen. He recognizes the consequences and the dangers, plans his life in a way to help minimize and avoid those consequences by humility and the fear of the Lord and the riches and the honor of life. Here's how he says he does it: with humility and the fear of the Lord. The wise man submits himself to the commandments of God, to the direction of God. When he's making those decisions in his life that have consequences, he consults the wisdom of God and looks for God's instruction and direction in making those decisions. Thorns and snares are in the way of the froward. He that doth keep his soul shall be far from them. Again, you choose the wrong path, and that path will have thorns and snares. There will be, again, consequences to our decisions. And the phrase he uses there, thorns and snares, if you've ever been out playing in the woods or anything else, you understand the pain of a thorn, of snares. They hurt. And he says that there are harsh consequences when we make bad decisions in our life. Verse 6, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Probably one of the most well-known proverbs in the book is this one. And again, it's been misapplied often. Again, it is a proverb. It is not a principle. There are plenty of children that have been trained up right who went crazy. There have been children who have practically been raised like animals who grew up to be fine, upstanding citizens. But generally speaking, he says, if you will start your child on a path of righteousness, that child will continue in that path. It is generally true that a child raised in those ways will grow up to be a godly child. Verse 7, he continues, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Here he says, there's consequences. If you borrow money, if you get yourself in over your head, if you get into poverty, he says there's consequences to that. You will have a ruler. Somebody will be ruling over you because you owe them money. He that soweth iniquity shall reap vanity, and the rod of his anger shall fail. Then here he's talking about the judgment of God. That not only are they earthly consequences, but there are spiritual consequences. The wicked will reap trouble, will have problems. When it says the rod of his anger shall fail, he's talking about the person who is sowing iniquity. His rod or his power will fail. He will be destroyed. Again, the consequences of his actions, of his sin. We see a familiar thought here. He that hath a bountiful eye shall be blessed, for he giveth of his bread to the poor. Again, we have the reminder of being merciful, helping those who are hurting, those who are in need. Verse 10, cast out the scorner, and contention shall go out, yea, strife and reproach shall cease. Get rid of, throw out the person who is a scorner or a mocker, talking about somebody that's arrogant, somebody that's filled with pride, somebody that thinks they are they're better than everybody else. He says, throw them out, get rid of them. Don't deal with them. He says they will cause trouble. If you get rid of them, if you throw out the scorner, he said contention will go away. The fights will go away. The arguments will go away. And the strife and the reproach will cease if you get rid of that mocker, that scorner, that arrogant man that he's talking about here. In verse 11, he that loveth pureness of heart, for the grace of his lips, the king shall be his friend. He says, if you speak wisely, if you speak with a pure heart, and you speak with pure intentions, you don't speak foolishly, he says you will have the friendship, you will have the respect of the king or leaders or influential or powerful people. He says you can influence people. Remember the book that was written, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Well, Solomon says here's his answer to that question. Pureness of heart and grace of lips. Have a pure heart and be careful in your speech. And again, here we just see back and forth a list of what happens when you sow, sowing and reaping, consequences of our actions laid out all through these proverbs. Again, if you treat people with pureness of heart and with grace of lips, he says you will gain the respect of others. He says if you are a contentious person, a scorner, in the previous verse, he says you cause discord, you cause grief. If you get rid of them, you cause peace. And so this is all about cause and effect in this series of Proverbs. And great thought for us to deal with today and to run through our mind. What effect is my life having? What am I causing? What am I sowing? And what am I reaping? And each one of us, I think, is important for us to look at our life and consider that question. What are my decisions? What are the results of how I am choosing to live my life? Something real serious to think about. Hope you will. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.